website, which is janeraybould.com. I think our goal is really trying to keep our TV commercials up. We know they're effective. We know they're resonating. So, resources is what it's going to take for us to keep getting our message out. So that's a big part of any campaign, as you can imagine. So going on and donating $5, $10, $15, $20 truly helps. And we have been so grateful to so many people all across the United States who have dug deep and have generously donated to our campaign, but so many other great candidates running. And I, as a candidate, know how much it helps and how appreciative I am. So if they go on our website and donate, that would be wonderful.
Excellent. We'll put the link up for that on our website as well. Jane, thank you so much for joining me. I know you're a little bit under the weather, and so I'm glad we were able to talk. This is really great. I just love that there are great Democrats running in Nebraska. And you're right, it hasn't been that long, but the, sort of popular perception is that it's such a red state, and people just sort of, I think, are discounting the thought of Democrats in Nebraska. But you've got some great people, some great women especially, running this year, and so I'm just so excited about that.
Well, thank you for the time to reach out to me. It's a wonderful opportunity to keep getting our message out.
You want to save democracy, but you just can't seem to get off your couch. Well, you're in luck. Thanks to the magic of technology, you can now canvass for Democratic candidates from the comfort of your own living room. An organization called Red to Blue has a virtual canvassing program. It allows you to text registered voters and let them know about blue candidates, upcoming events, and of course, encourage them to vote in November. Red to Blue is targeting key districts that Democrats want to flip or hold on to. All you need is a computer and a couch, or a chair, or you could even stand if you want. They're not picky. Red to Blue will train you, they'll give you a script, and show you how to use their online dashboard. And they'll give you the voters to contact. The best part, this texting approach really works. It's not invasive, and it's more comfortable for people to engage with. It's especially effective with millennials. And we're not going to mention some gross stereotype about why that is. So, whether you're an introvert or an overachiever with too much on her plate, or just lazy, we're not judging. Virtual canvassing could be the activism you're looking for. To get started, just go to redtoblue.org to sign up. That's RED, 2, BLUE.org. I am here in this segment with Jessica McClure, who is running for Congress in the Nebraska 1st District. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, how are you doing?
Great. Thank you for joining me.
Of course.
So just to start out, can you tell us a little bit about your background and why you decided to run for Congress?
I was an analytical chemist for a number of years. I got kind of tired of doing that, and so I switched over to doing regulatory work within chemical and animal health regulations. And I was one of those weird people that I really liked working on regulatory work, so I went to law school after that. And then after law school, I went back, started working in industry and regulatory compliance. And then prior to the primary election, I quit that day job to run for, U.S. Congress full time. So why I'm running, let's go over that. Back in 2016, I was sort of, just like everybody else, sort of shocked about the election results. And I had always been like, I need to get involved in politics. I need to care about this. Like, I had always been like, I'd love to write legislation, but it'll be later, always later, because I had a little baby. It just seemed like something easy to put off. But the 2016 election made me go, we need to care about this a little bit more. And so I started working with some of the follow-up events for the Women's March. And those events sort of led me to where I was really mad about our congressman's vote to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. So he voted for that at about the same time my daughter was being diagnosed with eosinophilic esophagitis, which sounds a lot worse than it is. She's fine. She's on some medication, and she's doing great now. But I'm just holding this ridiculous medical bill in my hand, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to pay it. And I'm calling him and going, don't take these consumer protections away. It's going to impact my family. I need you to care about that. And he didn't. He just kind of ignored me, and I got the same old form letters back. And that was so important to me to find someone to run against him. But that person that I wanted to run never appeared. There was nobody who'd been in office before. And I just go, fine, I'm running because I feel like I'm qualified, and nobody is going to try harder at this election than I am. And that's sort of how I got started doing it.
All right. And you won your primary, and you won your primary with not a whole lot of money in the bank. And now, of course, you're going against an incumbent Republican who has tons of money, because they all do. So what's your strategy been for kind of grassroots organizing and running and, making things work on less money?
Yeah, we do a lot of, it's kind of back to basics campaign 101 that we do. But we don't spend money on things we don't need to spend money on. That's kind of our rule. We're very frugal with what we have, and we talk to people where they live. I think that's really important. My congressman wasn't listening to me, so it's really important for me to listen to people in this district. So we travel to their homes. It's a pretty geographically expansive district, and we will go there in their towns for a couple days, and we will canvass the entire town. And that's what we do. We have a fairly small team, but we put in a lot of hours, and we make sure that the people who live in our district actually are being heard.
And so can you describe the district a little bit for listeners who might not be familiar? What part of Nebraska is this?
The voting majority in the district is in Lincoln, which is our capital in the state. And in the primary, we received about 46% of the votes from Lancaster County, which is the biggest county in our district. But it's 16 full counties in the district, and a lot of it is rural areas or kind of smaller towns. But what happens is that sometimes when you have one voting population in an area, the rest of the area kind of gets ignored. And for me, that was really important to get out into those rural areas and actually talk to people, because there aren't a lot of Democrats knocking on doors in some of those areas, and they're shocked when I come there and I'm like, hi, I'm running for Congress. And you hear, oh, I've never had a congressional candidate knock my door before. And that makes me kind of sad, because they deserve to be a part of our voting system. They deserve to have your elected officials there caring about them.
How are people reacting beyond saying, people haven't been showing up here before? Are they receptive to talking to a Democrat? This is a district that's been held by a Republican for a long time. Are they receptive to that? What are the issues that they're sort of telling you about?
Well, healthcare is, I always start with that, so it's a little bit misleading, because, when you start with that topic and they care about it, it's hard to get off that topic. But we talk about healthcare and the things that I want to do to sort of improve our healthcare system. And over again, I just keep hearing, I agree with that. I also have a hard time, or I know a family member who's been financially impacted by some sort of devastating diagnosis. So it's something everybody can relate to. And I push a lot about lowering the cost of prescription medications too. And that is definitely something that some of our aging population really cares about, because they're on medications they can't necessarily afford. And so that keeps coming up. And then with the people who are about my age and younger, you hear a lot about student loans, I am glad someone's at the door talking about some sort of debt relief programs. Actually, one thing that came up a lot that we were sort of surprised about is access to medicinal marijuana. And so that wasn't something that I had planned on supporting. I just go, yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's not one of my priorities, but it became my priority after that kept coming up over and over again. And people in the state see that Colorado has legalized recreational and medicinal uses, and they want that for themselves too. So I have added that to my platform as well.
Do you find that people are sort of identify themselves as Republican? I was just talking to Jane Kleeb about how, you have the unicameral legislature at the state level, and people theoretically are all nonpartisan, although actually, of course, often have partisan affiliation. But I'm wondering if that affects how strongly voters consider themselves to be one party or another.
Yeah, so in the primary, one thing that was a little concerning for me is you would go to the door and talk to, say, a registered Democrat, and their spouse would answer the door. And the spouse would actually be a Democrat but had switched parties a while ago because they felt there wasn't a point in voting in our primaries. And so that was a little bit concerning as somebody who had a challenge primary. And so we ended up kind of, prompting people, it's important if you want to vote for me in this primary that you would switch your party affiliation. And then you also get a lot of people who feel sort of like their vote doesn't matter because they have this overwhelming sense there's too many Republicans and that we can never do anything about it. And what I say to that is, you know what? You need to, there are so many Democrats in this district that I'm exhausted from knocking their doors. And if we all vote, it's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, and so right now, Nebraska, all 3 congressional seats are held by Republicans. Do you get the sense that doesn't accurately reflect what should be given the population of the state?
Well, we have had a lot of Democratic elected officials in this state. The first congressional district has had a Republican in it since 1967. So I'm not trying to sugarcoat that. Our district is challenging, but our Lincoln has a Democratically majority city council, including the mayor. And that's the biggest voting population is in Lancaster County. And that's the biggest, one of the bigger areas for voter turnout. And so I don't think that this district is quite as challenging as the numbers show. The last number of election cycles, there have not necessarily been a candidate who's running a full campaign like we're doing. So I think the numbers are going to sort of surprise people. Even if we don't win, I think we're going to get so much closer than people expect us to.
So you have a lot of endorsements from a variety of different kinds of organizations. Can you talk a little bit about that, kind of the endorsement process and what those endorsements mean for your campaign?
Oh, well, the endorsements are nice. We actually have quite a bit more than are currently on our website. When you're in a district where the people are like, you probably can't win, it doesn't always necessarily come with a financial backing. But sometimes what it means is there are organizations or people who support us because of the policies we care about. And so like Moms Demand, I'm a priority candidate for them. And there's a group of Moms Demand in Omaha who, they were very receptive of our policy stances. And what we're doing is trying to make sure that we're reaching out to those groups going, we're pretty open to having newcomers. If you would like to learn how to do this process, we can work with you on how to phone bank, how to knock doors. And we're pretty welcoming, so we're not going to judge you. It's not going so well. There is a voting contest going on through Democracy for America. So our district has been historically I don't know that we've always gotten that many endorsements just because if you're not really trying real hard at the campaign, that might be something that falls by the wayside. But Carr Eastman was endorsed by them, and then we were endorsed for the general. And I think that we don't have a lot of money, but we were still endorsed because they can see that we have this great momentum building from our primary and that people really support our campaign. And so these endorsements are showing you that national level, Nebraska's first district might look bad on paper, but we're actually getting a little bit of recognition for our primary win. And that's because we worked really hard turning out voters, and we beat somebody who was the biggest fundraiser in 2014 of everybody in the district in the last 8 years. And so I think that sort of shows you that what we're doing is working, and the national organizations kind of go, that's something to pay attention to. And I'm going to plug that one time. If you go to Democracy for America's website, you can vote for us for the Grassroots All-Star campaign. We are very grassroots. We have, for our primary, we never had over about $1,500 cash on hand. That was just generally what we had. That's not very much money. We spent all that money for our primary win. And so we were down to just about nothing for our general election once we started refundraising. And so if we won that award, that would make a world of difference, and that money can go a long way in the state of Nebraska. We can get a lot of radio ads and various other great advertising and help with paid canvassers, things like that.
We'll put that link on our website for you too.
Okay, great.
What does your daughter think of you running?
Oh, other than right now, we're kind of in crunch time, so she's not a big fan of me leaving every night, but she thinks it's great. She thinks I'm in Congress already, so she's 4. And she's like, every night, she's like, Mom's going to Congress. I'm like, yes, keep saying that. Like she thinks I'm getting in the car and driving there. But she absolutely loves canvassing with me. So